Morning, my EquinEdge family. Happy Tuesday. Got some coffee here in Seattle. Wanted to do another episode of kind of tips and tricks. We've done one of these in the past, and I thought I would do another one. We're going to look at Indiana Grand, race 8, which they ran a couple turf stakes races last week. This is on July 14th. I played in exacta here. I actually ended up playing heavier on the 7 over the 6. But it came 6-7, and you'll see here. So I boxed them. I actually ended up kind of liking the 6 at first, and then kind of went to the 7 because of Scotty Longshot. The 6 from a pace perspective, and we'll walk through that. But it was a nice little cash. So I want to just kind of share how I use the tool in this case, in this race, like how I think the algorithms, when they come together, are really nice. So one of the first things I do is I always look at the race SOR. So 56, and then, I'll sort by GSR, and then I'll kind of look at the Scotty picks. And also one of the first things, like I'm just going to get rid of this 2 as a 1%er, the 4 is a 1%er, the 1 is a 1%er. And then the 12, I'll look at just real quick as a 3%er. A 44 here on dirt, now goes to turf. So I'll look at GSR plus. I don't really love this horse. The next thing I would do is it's stepping up, obviously, is then look at the morning line. And in this case, 7-1 over 9-2. I would probably just toss. So I've kind of narrowed down here, and then I'll kind of sort by win percent. And this is kind of where I start. So first thing I'm going to do is look at this 5 horse and say, okay, top Scotty, where is it? Okay, 9%. So way down here, which I don't love, top Scotty, but 9%. Morning line, okay, about the same. So, but then here, like, look at this GSR. I mean, the lowest of 42. Dive in, look at this, and I'm going to show my notes here. And horse has never been on turf. And you have a 23-point drop in GSR. 23 points. Like, I immediately look here. I'm like, this horse does not want turf. Yes, it's been racing against tougher. But, 1 of 50 sprinting on dirt. Now is going long on turf. And one again, I guess, going long on dirt here in a 60. But I don't like the drop in GSR. This is one of the things when you use a GSR play, I completely play against this horse here. So immediately I do not like the 5. Let's look at the 10. We'll go to Mizzen-Ash. Look here. Has been sprinting or been on turf for the most part in routing. Broke its maiden in a 42 after 4 tries, and then did win here in a 52, but without diving in further. It did come from the 10 post, but my guess is maybe there's a little bit of pace here. And so I'm like, okay, so then I'm like, what's the pace look like? So 11 horse, wide post, and unlikely to show speed. She did show speed here. Didn't show a lot of speed here. Don't love the post. Let's look at the 7, Scotty Longshot. Unlikely to show much speed. The 10, not showing speed. The 6 horse. So, is 19%, not in top Scotty, but when I looked here, did show speed here on turf with a slow pace. So that immediately tells me, for the 10, are you going to have much of a pace? That horse is going to need some pace. Right now, I don't see it from the 11, the 7. Let's look at the 8. Unlikely to show much speed. I mean, it's just breaking, 5th, 6th, broke 2nd here, but at the first call was in 5th. Not a lot of speed. Then I actually did have a little bit of speed, maybe. So this was a bit of, I'm like, okay, it's been on turf 1 time, has not shown much speed on dirt, but, did here in the slop. It's hard to know, but here you see on turf, didn't show much speed, broke 5th, broke 3rd, was close to the front. But to me, immediately I didn't really like the 10 because I didn't see much of a pace setup, which then here I started really liking the 6. And again, I think as I mentioned, you know, I ended up liking the 6 first and kind of got off and went to the 7. But, you know, I thought that the 6 could potentially wire and has a good post. You'll see my note there. And then the 7, and from a morning line perspective, the 6 was 5-1 versus 8-1. I use this always here. So when I start combining the algorithms, I don't like the 5. And if anybody watched Colonial Downs yesterday, they had horses that had not been on the turf and been on, the dirt, tried to convert to the turf in some stakes races, and there was a bunch of bombers. That's where you can use the GSR to your advantage. I immediately didn't like the 5. I like the 6 to wire. I love the morning line perspective here on the 7. We talk a lot about that on Action Hour, and was down to 5-1, and you were getting 16-1, and that probably skewed my viewpoint a little bit. I'm putting the 7 on top, and should have stuck to my guns and just played the pace of the 6 to wire. And you'll see the outcome here. It came 6-7 with just a great payday for a buck paid 80-1. Which again, if you eliminate the 5 and 10, you immediately can kind of get to the 7 as a long shot and the 6 from a pace perspective. When you look at the 9, I mean, it did run in a 54 in here and ran second. So, for me, I was really hoping the 6 would just be able to wire. And when I looked down here, the 9 was close. I mean, I think you could argue that the 9 could have hit the board. My perspective there was just that the 7 being Scotty Longshot was really interesting to me. One here at a 52 in allowance after breaking a maiden here in a 54 on dirt. Definitely was bred for the turf to some extent. They thought a lot of her to put her in a stakes race here. So I was taking the angle here, third off the layoff. Then this horse could really improve. I didn't spend a lot of time. I bet this kind of late. I didn't look what happened here in this allowance race, but I did like that came back here and won a maiden or won an allowance first off the layoff on turf in a 52. So, I mean, yes, the 9 could have run, but, for me, 11%er, I like the morning line perspective. If I'm going to choose between two 11%ers, I'm going to take where EquinEdge has the horse at 5-1 versus 10-1. So again, my goal here was to just show you how I kind of put everything together from all the algorithms. Again, use that GSR when it's in the opposite direction. I just toss them. I don't even put them on the ticket in exactas and tries, or we'll toss them in a horizontal bet. We didn't talk a lot about the 8, but probably not really necessary. Did run third though. I mean, trifecta paid massive here. So, I hope that's helpful, trying to keep these, 5 to 10 minutes. This one ran about 8 minutes. Just hope that it's helpful and for everybody. And I didn't talk about the 11, sorry. And I think here my concern was the post out here. It did wire here on the dirt. It had been running, on the dirt a lot better. It looks like a sprinter when you look at GSR Plus. I think here, I mean, I guess this was a 46 and then a 52. Didn't run good in a 52 as the favorite. This horse looks a little bit cheap to me. Is my concern here. I mean, and I think this horse may be more of a sprinter. Well, not I guess not. I mean, it has routed, but it was a tough race. But for me, I was going with a couple prices. Again, I thought the 7 could improve with Scotty Longshot, good morning line angles, good GSR. The 6 had that big pace wire perspective and really vulnerable horses in the 5 and 10, even though the Scotty picks. So it was a pleasure, all. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Hope you all are getting some coffee. Have a good week. Saratoga Del Mar here. Excited. I'll be in Del Mar with Brady August 6th to the 8th. It's Whitney weekend in Saratoga. Super excited. Anybody wants to join us? It's a pleasure. I'll always get a chance to share with you. It's fun. I will see you for Action Hour this week. Have a good week.